Welcome to Culture Before Content. Culture Before Content from Music for All and presented by Yamaha. And now, here's your host, David Duarte.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm David Duarte, your host for today's episode of Culture Before Content. We are so glad you could join us here on the Music for All podcast network with a big special thank you to Yamaha, who is our national presenting sponsor, for their incredible support in bringing this to you. Now, at Music for All, and really for all of us, our mission is to create, provide, and expand positively life-changing experiences through music. And as I say every week, that's pretty much what we all do. Most of us are all back to school. I'm sure there's still a couple of other states, districts around the country that haven't got quite back to school. Maybe it starts this week. You never know. But we're all in it. We're all in it to win it. All right. But let's talk about the podcast for just a second. If you're watching us live, you're watching us either on Facebook Live or you're watching us on YouTube. Feel free to ask some questions in the comments or even just put some comments in the comments. Do it. If they're interactive, we'll get them live and on the show. We love to have them, And like I said last week, feel free to put things in like, hey, how's the weather? Where you at? I think, let's see. It is 82 degrees here in lovely Vancouver, Washington. If you're on YouTube, feel free to put in the comments as well. And also like and share and subscribe because it helps our viewership and gets us out to more and more people. And then if you have podcasts that you like to listen to, we are featuring them starting around on Monday, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcast. You can find us or you can get more information by going to the Music for All podcast page at musicforall.org/podcast. Find a way to find us and we'll love it. So let's talk a little bit about last week. I had such a great time. We had Mr. Ramon Rivera he was the 2023 WMEA WIAA Music Educator of the Year. He's from Mount Vernon High School, which is just north of Seattle. Or if you drive about 45 more minutes, you got to be in Canada. It's so beautiful up there. Anyway, he was the director of the mariachi in Mount Vernon School District. And we talked about how he's built an incredible mariachi program at his school. And if you watched it last week, some of the pictures and some of the things he shared were just absolutely amazing. We talked about how he helped engage his students who might not be interested in traditional music classes and how that program brings students, family, and the entire community together. He emphasized that adding mariachi to a school's music offerings can reach a broader demographic and foster cultural pride, self-esteem, and a solid connection to the school. His insights on building this kind of program from the ground up are invaluable for anyone looking to diversify their music curriculum. Take a moment, check it out. It was fantastic. Had a great time. But let's get on to this week. This week, we have a special guest for you. We have Dr. John J. Gallagher. He is the arts administrator from Longwood School District in central Brookhaven Town, Suffolk County, New York, United States, on Long Island. That's like the longest description of a town. So please welcome to the show, Dr. John J. Gallagher.
David, how are you, David? It's nice to be here. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I think I've got a little extra energy from the tea today. I don't know what's going on. I'm feeling the love today. So how are you doing, my new friend?
Things are good. Things are good. Thank you. It's great to be here. Great to talk to you and to all of the viewers watching, especially our friends affiliated with Music for All. And everybody's back to school by now, I would think. We certainly started this past Tuesday, right after Labor Day, with our students. It was the first day for them. Teachers had to come in the week before just to do their professional development and superintendent's conference days. And, we're ready to go here. So we're off to the races.
I'm in the same thing. 2 weeks ago was professional development. This last week was the first weeks of school. I've always loved the first weeks of school. I don't know about teachers out there, but I get so much anxiety building up to the first day. I'm only on year 35, but it feels like I've forgotten everything going into that, we had the Labor Day. So it was like Monday night and all that anxiety. You get in front of the kids and it just feels, hi kids, I'm home. How are we doing today? Let's rock this. But enough about that. Let's talk about you. So you are an arts administrator. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you became an arts administrator and a little about who is Dr. John J. Gallagher?
Sure. I guess before we get going, I just want you all to know, the tech staff, that I've got a blank screen in front of me. Didn't really change anything before we got started here. I didn't know if this was on your end or my end, but I can certainly see you. I just can't see. I can hear you. I just can't see you right now.
Well, that might be good. I mean, especially for some of our viewers. I don't think I look
Yeah.
that great, but I'm just saying we can still see you. So just so that you
All
know.
right,
So,
fine. Wonderful.
if anything, now you get to listen to the show. So I think we're good so far. If anything comes up, our tech people will get in there for you. But why don't we go ahead and without that and tell us a little bit how you became an arts administrator and a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I've been in my position in the Longwood School District since January 30th of 2006. So we're quickly approaching 19 years in my position. My family and I have lived in the district since 2000. We moved out from Queens, New York, all the way out eastern Suffolk County now where we are. And, to be quite honest, I didn't really know much about the school district that I was living in because I was trying to build my career in the one, a little ways away from here, trying to build my career there as a band director. Which I did. So I've been here, like I said, January 2006, and things are going wonderfully here. It is a wonderfully supported school district. The art, music, theater programs that we have here are just as important as academics and athletics and robotics, and there really is something for every student here. I can say I'm really very proud of my 3 children who have graduated from Longwood High School. 2 of them went on to SUNY Fredonia to get their degrees in music education. My daughter is actually teaching in the Dunkirk School District outside of Buffalo. And our youngest is just started his sophomore year at Fredonia. Both of them are going to be music educators. Actually, Amanda is already. Thomas, our middle child, is studying musical theater at Marymount College in Manhattan. So he just now started his senior year of college. So things are going well professionally and with the family here. Everybody's fine and healthy, and really things are going very well, very well.
Well, awesome. So let's talk about that team of educators that you're working for. Because I said, you and I was your position for many years, retired from arts administration in 2019, but I remember it well. And the neat thing to me is, as a music educator, when you finally get in charge of all these other things, the whole world opens up, and then you get to realize how neat and how amazing all areas of arts are. So you said you're in charge of music, art, and theater. How many teachers are you in charge of?
Yeah, we have 42 teachers, and really the curriculum is in art and music. Our theater program is more of a club. We are working toward a theater curriculum, but our theater clubs, you would think that we did have a theater curriculum. Our students love it. Our teachers are very good at it. One of my choral directors at the high school has theatrical experience as well. So I'm really very, very proud of them. And, without sounding like one of the old men in the district, I've hired more than half of them already, and really very, very proud of them. I'm proud of the arts education, the overall arts education that they provide our almost 9,000 students across the district. Our music program begins in 4th grade, where a child can begin learning an instrument. So our elementary schools are grades K through 4. Our middle school is grade 5 through 6. Our junior high school is grades 7 and 8. And we have a 9-12 high school that holds 3,000 students alone. So this school district here encompasses 53 square miles of the area here in Brookhaven Town in eastern Long Island. And good things are happening here. Good things are happening here. It's a great place to live and work.
And I just want to say out there to our listeners, you can get to Dr. Gallagher's website at drjohnjgallagher.com. That's drjohnjgallagher.com. .com. That's a lot to spell. Dr. John J. Gallagher .com. That's a lot of letters for me to manage. So, one of the things I loved about being an arts administrator was like all the things that I could influence. And so like, I assumed, I'm sure you have changed quite a bit since 2006. And now you probably have like a plan, what's coming up next. But what kind of things do you offer for your teachers? Do you have professional development opportunities? Do you have, kind of budget things do you do? What kind of things do you do to support the arts in your district?
My job, as you can imagine, is basically a principal or a superintendent for music and the arts. I do budgeting, I do staffing, professional development, human resources, looking at the bids for equipment and supplies. I would think my staff would say that I do not operate in a vacuum. I value their opinion, especially the art teachers. I am a certified music educator. So I certainly did not come into this job like a bull in a china shop thinking that I know everything, because I still don't. And when I started in 2006, the ones that I really wanted to get to know quickly were the art teachers, because I wanted to know what they need, why they need it, how I can help them get it, and how I can support them. I never wanted them to think of themselves as stepchildren, if that's the right analogy to use. But my art staff is very, very valuable to me and to our community. I've hired more than half of them, as well. So, a lot of good things are happening. Being here on Long Island, close to New York City, you certainly have the opportunities to take your music, your art, your theater kids into the city, to go to a museum, to go to a Broadway theater, to go talk to set designers that work at Radio City. When you start talking about college and career, I tell people, parents, my fellow administrators, that when we think of the artist, the visual artist or the performer, that they don't have to go into a career to be a performer or a visual artist. That's wonderful if they do. And of course, we've had plenty of graduates to go on to music education, art education. We have two students that have already made it to Broadway in their career. One graduated, went on, got his degree in theater, was in a Tony-winning musical 2 years ago, I believe. We had another young lady who I believe would now be in 6th grade. She was in a Tony-winning play, and she was schooled on site. Mom moved into the city with her while Dad stayed out here with the other siblings. And so, but we're not just graduating the performers or the producer of art. We want kids to know that they can go into house management, into museum management, set design, technology, things like that. There really is something for everybody in our school district. And whether your child is into robotics or athletics or the arts, they're going to find something. We have a full auto mechanic shop that our technology department runs. Kids are going on for credits and for other certifications in career readiness. So really a lot of good things happening. I can't say it enough.
Oh, I'm curious because you're so, now that you mention it, you are so close to New York City. What kind of advantages do you feel that has for your district?
It's funny that you say that, and I can appreciate you saying it not being in New York, but sometimes we feel that we are so far out in eastern Long Island that we may not get what our counterparts west of us in the smaller Nassau County. There's New York City to the west of us. There's Nassau County coming out to the east, and then Suffolk County is further east than Nassau County. We in Suffolk County feel sometimes that our Nassau counterparts can do more just because they're geographically closer to, like we said, get into Broadway, get our kids into the city to see a show. It's a wonderful thing to watch it through the eyes of the students because they may not ever get into the city. It's too much of a hassle. They don't understand how to get to Fifth Avenue, let alone 42nd Street. They don't know which theater is where or where Radio City is or where the Village is. where the 9/11 Memorial or Madison Square Garden may be. But when we take them into the theater, a lot of kids have never been to a Broadway theater, and these are high school kids. So maybe we as adults take things for granted until we go with kids on these experiences and to watch it through their eyes. These Broadway theaters, some of them were built in the 10s, the 20s, the 30s. And to hear a student in high school, an 11th grader ask you, do they have air conditioning in the theaters? I say, well, most, if not all, do now. I think they were all built with air conditioning back then, because the elite were the ones, the upper crust were the ones that went to the theater. And as air conditioning became what it is now, people demanded that when they go to see a show, they want their theaters air conditioned. So to be able to give a little bit of history and not so much Broadway theater acting history, just history in general. And isn't that wonderful that what we do in the arts, specifically music, we touch all areas, right? Social studies, different parts of history, math, reading, writing, subdividing, math. There's just so much to what we do. But when you do see it through the eyes of a child or a teenager, I think it really means a bit more to you as a professional.
Now, that brings up a good point. So, I mean, like, we all assume, like, I used to take my kids to, like, the beach, because I'm from Arizona, would take the kids to California, and then I would forget some of my kids had never seen the ocean before. And there are so many things that you learn when you're doing you're thinking music, you're thinking all the things that these trips have to offer, but there is a world of connection out there. And, I was 2 hours from Flagstaff. I would take the kids to the festival and forget we'd run into snow, and some of my kids had never seen snow before. So it's funny when you say the air condition, I'm thinking, wow, some of the kids are, what's the snow like? Or, they'll wear shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like, you're going to have to bring a jacket. But that kind of makes me think about what's it like in your community. What are some of the things that you do with collaboration and community in your area? Because I think I was reading that you had the Long Island Arts Alliance or those kinds of things or something like that. What kind of things does your community offer, and what do you do to bring your community to your district?
The Long Island Arts Alliance is an organization here based on Long Island to bring more culture and more cultural events to the local communities of Long Island here in Nassau and Suffolk County. My previous career was in marketing and communications, and my undergraduate degree from St. John's University in Queens, New York, is in communications. And when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I went out and I got into the field of advertising and marketing, did some independent freelance journalism. But I realized, that the corporate world wasn't for me. And I actually went back to school. My wife and I were engaged to be married, and I went back to school and I gained those undergraduate credits that I needed to be able to study music on the graduate level. So the two careers kind of combined. It's the topic of my doctoral dissertation, how we market and promote school music programs, what advocacy is, what marketing and promotions is, how teachers can do it, because we all know that teachers are not trained in it. They don't understand what this is, and it's no fault of their own. They went on to take their music history classes, their methods classes, their string, brass, composition, conducting classes, yet they enter a field where they say you have to advocate for your program. So what are we doing here? That kind of brings me back to what you were saying. One of our favorite initiatives started just as we were coming out of the pandemic. I had an idea and I went to my teachers, and that's all it was. It was an idea. And I said to them, hey, what do you guys think about teaching our kids how to play harp? Now, we are a high need, low wealth, working class area. And we have a few districts around us that are a bit more wealthy, a bit more affluent. And the immediate thought that I had, even as the words were coming out of my mouth, were maybe that the instrument like the harp was more common to those school districts. But then I started thinking, why not our kids? Why couldn't they learn how to play harp? So we started this initiative here, and I'm telling you, we've got about 12 or 15 students in grades 7 through 12. We've invested money over the years in what they call lever harps. It's not the full 6-foot
Right.
harp that we know. You know, you play with you play them the pedals with your feet. We've invested money there. Our kids have already gone to our local adjudication festivals. They were invited by the New York State School Music Association, NISMA, to go up to Rochester last year during the All-State Conference. They were invited to perform because it was such an exciting initiative that we had started in our district. I guess if you want to go learn how to play an instrument like a harp, you have to go out on your own and find a private teacher and see who knows who, and do I have to drive an hour to their house, or can they come to mine, and how am I going to go buy a harp? But we kind of dove right into it. We took our chances. We wanted to see how many kids would stick with it. And boy, it's been 3 or 4 years now. I think actually we're starting our 5th year with it.
Wow.
We're really very, very proud of it. And taking kids into the city to go to the Radio City Christmas show, to take kids in to go see a Broadway show, to go take a tour of the stage after the show is done, to be able to have a Q&A with the actors, taking our kids to local museums and having them work with the docents there. Plenty of professional development opportunities for our teachers, like what the Long Island Arts Alliance provides. Now, back in 2006, I worked with them to create a recognition program, a PR type of program that would recognize student achievements in the arts and academics. So I pulled some colleagues together. I got some financing. I got one of the regents of the state of New York from our state education department, got a local college involved. We've created a gala. We have our local island-wide newspaper called Newsday. They put the students' profiles in there monthly from September to June. We have one student each from Nassau County and one from Suffolk County. That's what we in New York call Long Island. Geographically, Brooklyn and Queens are on Long Island. But when you say Long Island, everybody means Nassau and Suffolk. So several of our students over the years have been recognized as what we call the Scholar Artist, the Long Island Scholar Artist program. Our students certainly do not win every year, but they go in and they get all of their portfolios adjudicated the same way every other student would. Of course, we're very proud when our students get it, but they've also been recognized. Our visual art kids have been recognized with their artwork hanging in the United States Capitol as part of the Congressional Art Program. That's our local congressman taking different works of art by kids, having them submit works to their office. And they do their own little adjudicating there. And we've had our student works chosen 3 different times in the last 10 years or so. Our little theater club, I hate saying little, it certainly isn't little. Our theater club has been recognized by our East End Arts Council. And again, the East End of Long Island, we have the East End Arts Council. They run a theater recognition program called the Teenie Awards. And that's based really after the Tony Awards. Tony. Yep. And so that Sunday in May, whichever Sunday in May, the Tonys are always aired on CBS. The Teenie Awards are held that morning. So, they just want to keep all the theater kids together and in that frame of mind. And let's see who wins Best Actor, Best Actress, Lead Performer, Supporting Actor or Performer, things like that. So a lot of good things happening outside of Longwood that our students can participate in. And I think if you are a good promoter, a good publicist, a good advocate, a good marketer, you have your eyes open to this. You have your ears to the ground. How else can we get our kids to be recognized for the talents that they have? We just learned earlier this week that 4 of our students were accepted into our NISMA All-State Festival this coming December.
Wow.
we're proud of them. We've got another, I think it's 18 or 22, something like that, students that were just selected for our all county festival this coming November. We actually have to pick up the music for them next week. So we're really very, very busy. It's like, as soon as September comes, you're off to the races. Because now not only are you thinking about what you have to do right now, you're already planning ahead, as I'm sure you are well aware. You're planning ahead 2-3 months down the road. And, before you know it, it's Christmas. And then before you know it, it's Easter. And then before you know it, you're saying goodbye for the summer.
Yeah, not to scare everybody, but this is how my brain thinks. We just started school last week and Halloween's next month. And my brain just cannot fathom that, because by that point, I've already done how many concerts, how many things are already on my plate. But I call it trust in the system. So now I'm going to do some connection to you and why I love picking your brain. So when I went to college, my original major was marketing and finance with a emphasis in advertising. And I went for 3.5 years. And then I found out I think I'm supposed to be a music teacher. But I'm the point, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because you've been talking about marketing so much. And I think that's where our brains are super similar, and to our audience. If you don't advocate for yourself at times, I always say this, you have to kind of get comfortable with putting the advertising out there of your own program, no matter how big or how small. And how much do you think of that background do you think has influenced you as an administrator?
I think it is 50-50 with everything that I've learned to be an administrator here in New York, everything from school law to school business to the trainings we have to go through annually to properly evaluate teachers and their observations. Like I said before, music educators, art educators go into this field being told that they have to advocate for the arts. What does that mean? Maybe it'll be somebody else's job. One of the things that I talk about in the seminars that I give really is the difference between advocacy and public relations. Advocacy is just getting a group of people together with the same interests to try to promote those interests to other people. Public relations is, for lack of a better term, really relating to the public. You're building relationships with the media, with your local community, with the public at large. And advocacy and PR can help increase the visibility of a music program, generate a higher awareness of it. It can assist with recruitment and retention. What happens every time the marching band goes down to Disney World? Well, everybody wants to be part of that. So you're going to join marching band in hopes that one day you're going to go to Disney World if you do it once every 4 years, if you're lucky enough to go every year. And then word gets out as to the quality of your program. Why are they being accepted to all state or all county or to the congressional art program? Why are they getting all these teeny awards for theater? Why are all the kids always going to Disney World? Because we're doing good things here, folks. There's a lot of good things going on in our program, and you want to brag to the whole world what we do here and showcase what we do. And we take the marching band going to Disney, for example, and we tell our students, you are literally performing for people all around the world. They are going to block off those walkways. You've got the whole street and the trolley tracks all to yourself. And there are people from Asia and from Africa and from Canada and from Wisconsin and all around the world watching you because you're good enough to have been selected to be here. And that really is very, very exciting.
So that leads me into my next part of this, which is where I want to go. So can you talk a little bit about your things that you do for advocacy or conferences that you speak at or your public relations of you personally? Tell us about Dr. Gallagher and what you've done to help bring music to others.
It was January of 2002. I was just completing my master's degree in music ed, and one of my professors was a past president of NYSSMA, the New York State School Music Association. He was a legend in New York. We lost him a few years ago. It was a big loss to those of us that studied with him, learned from him, worked with him. And he was the one that told me, he said, listen, he says, you were just leaving the world of public relations and advertising. I said, yeah. He says, NISMA is looking for someone to do public relations. I don't know what it was like in the past, unless people just thought you take pictures. Okay, well, that's public relations. All right, well, that's a good part of public relations. What do you do with those pictures? Where are you sending them? What kind of a story are you telling? When you set up a shot, we tell the kids this all the time. When we set up a shot and we want to take all the kids that got selected to All-State, you all better be holding your instruments, because when we put this picture out, we don't know who you are or what you do or why you were selected. So I want to see that bassoon. I want to see that set of mallets. I want to see you holding your tenor sax or your viola. And if you're not holding an instrument, we know you made chorus, that you were born with your instrument. So it's really telling a story. It just all goes back to telling a story. What are we doing here? Why is it so good? And why do we have to keep this going? The PR that comes out of any school district's music program is gold. Whatever we touch turns to gold. We hardly have any negativity coming out here. Everything is recognition, talent development, acceptance into festivals and other kinds of activities and things like that. So I think my role as an administrator, publicist, advocate, marketer, all kind of rolls into one. I guess I'm considered the point person in the school district that whatever happens, we have to get word to our public relations specialist. Our school district has one that works for us full time. And of course, she does everything for athletics, for the new bond that was passed, for the new boiler that was replaced in the budget. She puts out the calendar with the bus schedules. That's the whole school district public relations. Correct. She knows my previous background. She and I work very well together. She knows what I do now. Working for NISMA, working for Music for All. I'm very, very proud and honored that Music for All thought that what I do is worthy of, spreading the word, spreading the news about PR and advocacy to students outside of New York. I've been to Indianapolis once or twice already. I've been to Grand Nationals. I've been to BOA Grand Nationals. I've been to the Summer Symposium. I've been to the concert festival in March, the All National Festival. So if we want kids to be leaders or advocates for their program while they're still in school, let's show them. Let's teach them. How do we do this? Let's throw some marketing and PR jargon at them. Let's talk about target audiences. Let's talk about market share. Let's talk about all this stuff to make the kids and the teachers aware that this is another part of what we do. We have to do this. It will, in the long run, make your job easier, teachers. But we all know that you more than likely don't have the foundation in this if you didn't take any marketing classes, journalism classes, or make a career change like you and I did.
Yeah, it was an accident. I'm telling you. You get pulled into administration. I'm not sure any of us go willingly. It just comes at you. You said you went to the Summer Symposium. Can you talk about some of those experiences that you've had? Because I want our audience to be as fascinated with the Summer Symposium. I mean, Grand Nationals is amazing, by the way, but I'm just saying, the Summer Symposium to me is that first opportunity to connect and meet people like you, meet directors from all over the country. But maybe talk about your experience with the Summer Symposium.
And that's exactly what happened to me. That was June of 2022. I was invited to go out and speak to students. It was explained to me what the Summer Symposium is, how there are different sessions, and you're in really a classroom setting at Ball State University. Different kids are coming to you for a half hour or so, or 45 minutes or so, in really a school day setting. One class comes in, you do your thing, they leave, another class comes in. And there were, I want to say, 20 of us, maybe 20 of us presenters. We all got to know each other a lot better. Cecilia Clark became a friend of mine. Matt Wood became a friend of mine.
Matt
Fran King.
Wood,
Oh,
episode
yeah.
one. Episode
Yep.
one.
Yep. Matt and I really hit it off. You would have thought that the two of us have known each other for 20 years prior. And Andrew Gessens, really just a lot of good people. Jarrell Horton. So it was nice to see the different perspective for me of these colleagues of mine that are all across the country. And we get to talking about what life is like in your neck of the woods. What do you do? What is your program like? What's the financial outlook like? How are your schools funded? What's happening with state aid? When are you taking your marching band to Disney? Oh, I hear your director of music left, or I heard your high school band director left to be band director there or director of fine arts over there. It was really good for me to get that perspective, because sometimes I think we all feel that maybe we're in our own little bubble, we're in our own world, making things as best as we can for our little portion of the world, dealing with our teachers, our students, our community. But then to get that perspective that other people are doing that too, people from Iowa, from Kansas, from Wyoming, that we're all kind of going through the same thing because of the love for the arts and music education in general. But I had gotten invited again to go out to BOA Grand Nationals was it November of that year? And really did the same thing with kids that were there to watch Grand Nationals. And it's really just the camaraderie, the professionalism, not to sound so Pollyanna about it, but what a great experience. What a great feeling I had to be out there. And then I got to meet other people that the names that I've already known that I hold in high regard. Now I'm having dinner with them. I mean, all these Paula Kreider, all these big names, in my world. Richard Crane was the director of music in the school district that I attended, the Spring Independent School District, when I was growing up north of Houston. I certainly would not have expected him to remember me, but Richard Crane has gone on with his own career. And over the years here, I've watched kind of everybody do their own thing. And to be included in, company like that, to me, is really wonderful. Wonderful.
Do you find at these speaking engagements that you almost learn as much as you're trying to present? Do you take away some of those things from all the people that you met, or those stories help shape who you are as an administrator?
Yes, I do. To hear what people are going through, the good and the bad, and the bad really could come from leadership that leaves some things to be desired, personality conflicts, but a lot of it is funding, the aid that they get from their funding streams, and how do school districts get funding in different parts of the country. Here in New York, it comes from the state and from the taxpayers. So you have to look at how much aid you're getting from the state, which really is already our tax dollars. How much are we from Long Island sending up to Albany, the capital of New York, only to have a little bit of it rain back down on Long Island? Sometimes we on Long Island think that other parts of New York State think that we're the ATM for the state because we live on Long Island. This is where the Kardashians are. This is where Jimmy Fallon lives. This is where J-Lo shops. There are a lot of pockets of homelessness, of poverty on Long Island. There are certainly pockets of wealth, mostly middle class. And sometimes we say, how often can we go to the well? If we're not getting our aid from Albany, then the funding source has to be made up from the taxpayer directly from our annual budget vote. Our school district residents can go out and vote on their school district budget. And we've been supported, certainly our district. I've been here, like I said, almost 19 years. We've never had a failed budget. And there are a lot of school districts that are like us, wealthy districts and not so wealthy, that have the support of their communities as well. It's not always the case, though, sadly.
Yeah. One of the things I like to do, and this is, I've actually, I don't know, maybe it's one of those administrator holdovers, but I like to take a school. I like to find out what the median income is of their district. I like to find out what the diversity is like, because I've almost found that I get more educated when I find a low income district that's high succeeding, because I always tell people, I'm teaching in a school of about 950. I can't really compete with the school of 3,000, because I like somebody the other day talked about how big their band was, and I'm like, well, that's like the entire size of like every kid at my school. And the neat thing is, I learned. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to some of those schools and say, hey, how have you overcome that? So when someone's going to Grand Nationals and that, and most of the income differentials are huge, I'm fascinated, because I think they've come to find a way to get resources, that they found a way to get money. So like, are you directly in charge of the monies? That does your district allocate money to your department and then you allocate, or is it
Yes.
The district allocates?
Yes.
Because that's not always the case. That's I said that's not always the case in some of these districts. So when my brain is thinking is there are probably more districts without a fine arts curriculum specialist or an arts administrator, and and sometimes I always tell people you might just have to like kind of volunteer for that position, not because you want to you don't want to volunteer for that position, but as you keep saying, advocacy, attention does create interest and does create kind of access to resources and funds. I mean, do you have any advice to maybe a district out there, large or small, of like, what's a way that if you don't have a fine arts administrator that you can advocate for yourself as maybe a one school district or just a district without a coordinator?
I think what a person could do is to showcase the great things that are happening and showcase the fact that more things continue to happen because of the foundation that we have already built. And now, Superintendent, it's getting a little much where I can't handle a lot of the things because I'm still teaching. I don't want to give up teaching my lessons or, running my ensembles to cancel with the kids to go to an admin meeting because you view me as the leader of the department. As much as I love being the leader of the department, the advocacy then turns to your administrative union, if you have one, to advocate for the need for this position. What have you been doing as a chairperson, as a lead teacher, as the go-to person, whatever the situation may be? Registering kids for festivals, getting the transportation, working with the marching band parents, getting the marching band to Grand Nationals, doing observations of teachers, all these things. We have there is a job description that our professional association put out. NISCAME is the New York State Council of Administrators for Music Education. NISCAME was created in 1964. It was formed by a few directors of music education at that time, back in the 60s. The positions have increased responsibilities over the years to include theater and visual art and media art and dance. But the acronym for NISCAME, New York State Council of Administrators for Music Education, really hasn't changed. We've just kind of taken on all of the arts. And one of the things that was written was a job description as to what the Director of Music Education does or can do or should do. And I certainly have that resource if anybody would like it. I could, if they wanted to reach out to me somehow through email, we could certainly get that to you.
Yep. We'll definitely share that when we get a chance. And so like I said, it's neat that you're in this position where you can be that person for your department, be the person. Here's your email right now. We'll share that, and I'll share it at the end as well. It's Dr. John J. Gallagher, which is, oh my gosh, here comes all the letters. DRJOHNJGALLAGHER at gmail.com. But Dr. John J. Gallagher at gmail.com, which is also the website. drjohnjgallagher.com. And I lost my train of thought because I was spelling. Gosh, what was I? Oh my goodness.
You know,
I
yeah.
remember.
Actually, sometimes I think about changing my name just to Jim Smith.
Oh, then it'll be the wrong Jim Smith, or about
Yeah, right,
jimsmith.me, jimsmith.com, and like
right,
jimsmith.org. Um,
right.
and I was thinking, so this is like, again, like I love connecting with other administrators because it's like the feelings of what that job does. And by the way, audience, if I could suggest one thing to every teacher, no matter how big, how small, if you do have a fine arts, send them a thank you email and push them. They are your number one advocate for who you are in the classroom, whether you agree, disagree. Push for that position. The position is more important than the person, and we're going to change from time to time. But that is one of my biggest advices. But that was not my question. My question was, as someone who does observations and classroom walkthroughs all the time, what are some of the biggest things that you see? What would be like something that you see that you often, or maybe less often? What's something you could say that would help teachers in the classroom that you see at a regular basis? And what are some of the awesome things that you see in the classroom?
Student engagement.
Oh,
Kids
say that
come down
again.
to, they come to art and music classes to be engaged. They are developing their talents. You never want to go in even to a general music classroom to be lectured to. The kids don't want to be lectured to in a general music class. I want to see the boom whackers. I want to see the ukuleles. I want to see some dance, certainly on the elementary level. I want to see some writing, notation, musical notation, participation, performance. One thing that I learned early on when I first started in this position, supervising art teachers, is that art teachers should never be sitting. That's what I was told. Don't ever let an art teacher sit. And if you ever see them sit, that's worthy of a discussion after class. They should be up and actively working with students, going to each one of them and giving advice and making sure that the kids know, listen, this isn't going to be perfect. Your artistic talent is developing. I went to school to be an artist. We can say that the music educator can say that as well. This little trumpet passage, trumpet voluntary, it's not going to sound the same way that I'm going to play it. I've been playing this for 23 years. This is how you do it. You have to build up to it. And, we tell our parents, certainly the parents of our beginning fourth graders, at the end of the year concert, we tell them, don't let them stop playing over the summer. You have got to put up with these sounds, the noises that you're hearing in their rooms or in their basements just a little while longer. You can't let them stop playing over the summer. You wouldn't go into a weight room and just deadlift 500 pounds come September. It's not good for them, for their musicianship, for their muscle building. The parents, the students, nobody thinks of their lips as muscles. So, I enjoy talking to parents and letting them know about all the great things going on in our district. And you the parents of our younger kids, I tell them, I say, you are just starting. Your kids are just starting. Stick with us and we won't let you down.
We are creating the future. And I can't, I mean, when you say student engagement, I think I got chills just because it is so hard when you're a teacher and you're new, you're so focused on, and that was the impetus to this podcast, by the way, culture before the content. We all have our content down. We're all specialists in there. We're all music teachers. We're all band directors, art teachers, drama teachers. But sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes we were let down going from college to the classroom, that we were not taught to build what we are teaching as opposed to the content of what we were teaching. So I have a website, by the way. I want to share this with you. That's the things that pop up. Mine's davidduarte.org. So DavidDuarte.org. And what I did is I put up all my administrative resources on there and I used them. And what I have is I have some look fors for visual art, look fors for general music, look fors for our audience out there. It's those things that when you walk into the classroom, it's things that you could see, should see, shouldn't see. And when you talked about it on, it's like, oh my gosh, those are the things that I, even for myself, I read them all the time because I sometimes, now that I'm back in the classroom, I have to remind myself what I should be doing, shouldn't be doing, and all those things. But that student engagement piece is amazing, especially when you're a general music teacher. I know we have a lot of band directors that are out there that are teaching general music maybe for the first time, or experiencing, like, I'm a band teacher. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
It's when you're building your culture, or if you feel your culture is built, now is the time to promote it. Now is the time to let the decision makers, the parents, your local legislators, your board of education, board of trustees, whatever they may be known as, your superintendent, your building principal. NISMA has a press room on its website. And there I have posted for sharing, and I believe many people across the country have pulled these resources, what we call Swiss cheese news releases. They're templates, and you go in and you fill in the holes. I remember that's what we used to call them in the industry 30 years ago. I got to check with some friends of mine that are still in PR just to see if that's still what they're calling them. Swiss cheese news releases, template news releases that you can download, fill in the holes for your own needs. Of course, get your school district's approval before you send out. It's another tool that we came up with to help make your job easier. And, again, being very well aware that music educators are not taught all the ins and outs of marketing and promotions and public and media relations. We keep talking about it. So here's a tool for you.
I'll keep saying it. The older I get, the less I seem that I know. And it's like every time I talk to other people, I get educated, and I feel, and not that I'm overwhelmed, but I'm never shocked anymore that how much is out there, and that I wish to learn, and that it's just spending some time and listening to people. And again, I really feel like, connection is the key. Is a key, not the key, is a key to success, which is why the symposium, which is why all the advocacy things that we speak at, or public events, or I'm sure you have spoken at state conferences before, and it's just those times, connect with all the people, form a relationship, or as you said, Paula, you met somebody who you as we view as a superstar, then you go up and talk to them, and they will talk back to you. Because we're just humans out there. Is there an easy way, by the way, I was checking out the nisma.org website. Is there an easy way to click to find the Swiss cheese? Because I found it, I have the link, but it's, I know it's information, press room, press releases, Swiss cheese.
Yep. If they go to, you can go to nisma.org, and you'll see the blue banner up top. The second tab in is info.
I see.
And if you go, so if you just scroll over it and now go into the middle section, you'll see our state chair people. You'll see our different zones for how we break up New York State. And then you see our press room. You see where we have published news releases, where we have information for the media as to what Allstate is, as to what NISMA is, how we handle sacred music in the public schools, things like that. That's what's there. Because we're talking about Music for All, the advocacy and action program that they have, that I'm a part of. This is a way for you to do your local advocacy and get this national organization to recognize you for all of the work that you do. And it's in different areas: community involvement, decision maker engagement, elementary excellence for your program with the little ones, innovative fundraising, marketing and promotions, parent and booster support, student recruitment, engagement, retention. And these applications are open now on the Music for All website, and they're open until November 5th. So if you want to start doing something that way, use the resources for Music for All, get recognized for what you're already doing. I think that's a great way of doing it.
All right, here comes the next scary statement. It's always the one that catches everyone off guard. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
We have already gone for 54. I haven't even got really to my first question yet. So before before we get to your parting final words, let's get your email out there. If you have a question. Oh, by the way, you said something earlier, like bidding process. That's something to ask any arts administrator how they do that, and how it's an amazing process. But it's Dr. John J. Gallagher, DRJOHNJGALLAGHER @gmail.com. Also, your website is drjohnjgallagher.com. And let's go with, first off, thank you for coming today. Amazing. What was your final thought
I really had such a great time doing this. I'm, again, honored that you reached out to me to have this discussion. Yeah, in a way, I wish we had more time. I hope to be invited back. Maybe we can, speak on one specific topic, whether it's knowing about journalism, marketing, or even doing the bids, spending public money and the laws that are involved in
Oh,
that, dealing with your administrators, leadership through the arts for your students. I'd love to come back and join you again.
I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I would love, here's my thing I say for all of our guests. It'd be really nice to meet everyone in person. It's really
Yeah.
neat that this podcast has connected people all over the United States. And I'm meeting I'm the one getting all the free professional development over here. So I can't thank you enough. So you can send my certificate to me for my hours. I'll log.
Sure, I will. Yep, absolutely.
But let's keep that thought in mind of connecting more. And on audience, I will say this: every guest, connect with them, ask them questions, send them an email, even just send them a smile. I really enjoyed today. We all remember people for how they make us feel, and that, I think, is one of the most important things out there. So, Dr. Gallagher, thank you so much for coming on today. I enjoyed every minute of it.
I did too, David. Thank you.
All right. Well, audience, the time goes so fast when you're hosting these things. You think you're just getting started and you're like, oh, I think we have to go now. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Culture Before Content here on the Music for All podcast. And we immensely thank Yamaha for their continued support as our national presenting sponsor. Remember, share this on your socials. Listen to the podcast. They're amazing. I love the audio versions of these podcasts. You'll find them anywhere, but you can find them really all at musicforall.org/podcast, or subscribe on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast. And we will be back to see you next week. Have a great, fantastic teaching week. And thanks to being on Culture Before Content. I'm Dave Duarte. Goodbye.